All right, in lesson 3-4 today, we're going to show you how to solve system of equations in 3 variables. In class, we did this with the calculator, but since you're not in class, you need to learn how to do it without a calculator. And when you're solving a system of 3 variables, you remember when we had 2 variables and 2 equations, you were looking for where the line crossed and your solution would be where the 2 lines cross. Today, 3 will be where 3 planes cross. That's why we're not going to be graphing these things. Now, this is where you might want to pause and be able to go back to. These are the directions on how to do this without a calculator. All right? We're going to solve this equation. We're going to solve this system of equations. Step 1, find a key equation. All right, and when I'm looking for a key equation, what I'm looking for basically is some variable that's easy to work with. That x would be very easy to work with. This y would not be too bad. That z is okay as well. All right, but you're looking for a variable, but that's going to become a key equation, and you're going to use that equation twice. I'm just going to stick with my x there as being my key equation. All right, this first equation will be my key equation. Or I'm sorry, the second equation is my key equation. That's the one that I'm going to use twice. All right, so here's my key. All right, first of all, I'm going to take my first equation right here and write it down. And my key equation, like I said, is my second equation, and x is my key variable. I want to get that x to be the opposite of this 2x. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation, in this case, by negative 2. All right, so that's going to give me negative 2x plus 4y plus 8z, I'm multiplying by negative 2, remember, equals negative 28. Right? Now then we're going to go ahead and add these two together just like we did back in lesson 3-1 part 2. Add these two together, 2x minus 2x are gone. 3y plus 4y is 7y. And negative z plus 8z is 7z. And 0 plus negative 28 is negative 28. Now we're going to put this equation on hold for just a second, and we're going to go through, and now we're going to work with our second equation. All right? Okay, now this is the one equation that we have not used. Remember, our key equation is that second equation. So now we're going to take this equation and write it down, just like we did with our first equation on the first step. 3x plus y minus 8z equals 17. Okay, now I want to get rid of the 3x in this case, so I'm going to multiply this entire key equation by negative 3 this time. Okay, that's going to result in negative 3x, and negative 2y times negative 3 is a positive 6y, and a negative 4z times negative 3 is a positive 12z, and a 14 times negative 3 is negative 42. Okay? Now I'm going to add these together. 3x plus negative 3x are gone. Y plus 6y is 7y. Negative 8z plus 12z is 4z. And 42 plus 17 plus negative 42 is negative 25. Now what we've got are two equations with two variables. And we're going to solve those just like we did in lesson 3-1b. Okay, so let me show you what we've got here. We've got 7y plus 7z equals negative 28. Now, I want to get rid of my y's. So I've already used this equation right here. I'm going to use this equation right here now. Let's multiply this entire equation by negative 1 so that we can get rid of those y's. That's going to give me a negative 7y. And a 4z times negative 1 is a minus 4z equals negative 25 times negative 1 is a 25. Now we're going to add these two equations together. 7y's are gone, so I've got 7z minus 4z is 3z. Negative 28 plus 25 is negative 3. Z is negative 1. We're getting there. Now that we have z, we're going to take that part of the equation. Since we know what z is, we're just going to stick that into either one of these two equations. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so I'm going to replace this z with negative 1. So I've got 7y plus 7 times negative 1 equals negative 28. Let's solve this. 7y minus 7 equals negative 28. Add 7 to both sides. 7y equals negative 21. Y equals negative 3. All right, we're 2/3 of the way done now. Okay, now our last step here is going to be using one of the three original equations. Usually the key equation is going to be the easiest one to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace my my y's and my z's, since I know what they are. I'm going to replace the y's and the z's into that original equation right there. And that will give me x. So let me see here, where can I do this? All right, we'll just write it out over here on this side. We can move this up just a little bit here. Hopefully this will work just fine. So I can get out of the way there. Okay, so now then, 1 second please, I've got somebody at the door. I'll be right back. Excellent, they were smart enough to figure out they could slide the paperwork under the door. Okay, now let's go ahead and do our substitution. Remember, we're using the equation right there. So I've got x minus 2y. And remember, y is negative 3. And minus 4z. And remember, z is negative 1. Equals 14. Okay, let's simplify. Negative 2 times negative 3 is a positive 6. Negative 4 times a negative 1 is a positive 4. Alright, so far so good. Okay, now we'll combine our like terms. 6 plus 4 is 10. I'll simply subtract 10 from both sides. And x is 4. Now I know what x is, I know what y is, I know what z is, so now I have the solution. The solution is an ordered triple. 4, and my y, negative 3, and then my z. That's probably about the only way you're going to go about solving these things if you don't have a calculator that will solve them for you. Alright, that's it for today's lesson. Tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's lesson.